You finished the conversation hours ago. You said goodbye, closed the app, put your phone face down, and then, somewhere around the time you were supposed to fall asleep, it started. Not the conversation itself, just a single moment from it. A pause that lasted slightly too long, a word choice that felt slightly off, something the other person said that you laughed at in the moment and that you are now examining like a forensic analyst with a flashlight and nowhere to be. You weren't upset when it ended. You are upset now. And the version of you lying in the dark running the tape back cannot explain why. This is not overthinking. That word implies a volume problem, that your brain is doing something it shouldn't. In quantities it shouldn't, and if you could just dial it back, you'd be fine. What's actually happening has nothing to do with volume. It has to do with a specific function your brain is running. One it was never designed to turn off on command. The word for what you're doing is rumination, not in the vague self-help sense. Clinically, psychologists define social rumination as the repetitive, passive revisiting of a past social interaction. And the key word is passive. You are not thinking about this conversation to solve something. You are not extracting insight or planning a response. The loop is not going anywhere. It is just running. That's the distinction between rumination and reflection. Reflection moves. Rumination circles. You are in the circle. And the question worth asking isn't why you're weak-willed enough to keep replaying it. The question is, what kind of brain would do this automatically without your permission at 11 at night? About a conversation that by every external measure was completely unremarkable. The answer starts in 1927 in a laboratory in Berlin. A Lithuanian psychologist named Bluma Zygarnik, studying under Kurt Lewin at the University of Berlin, ran a set of experiments on memory and incompletion. She gave participants a series of tasks. Some they were allowed to finish, others were interrupted before completion. Later, she asked them to recall what they had worked on. Participants remembered the interrupted tasks at dramatically higher rates than the completed ones, in some conditions, nearly twice as often. Lewin had first noticed the underlying phenomenon years earlier, watching a waiter in a Vienna cafe. The waiter could recall every unpaid order at every table with complete accuracy. The moment the bill was settled, the information vanished. It wasn't that he was bad at remembering paid orders, it's that his brain had no reason to hold on to resolved information. Resolved things get filed. Unresolved things stay open. Your brain is doing this to the conversation, not because something went wrong, because something didn't close. The interaction ended without the data your brain was waiting for. Visible confirmation, clear feedback, a legible emotional response from the other person, and your brain, treating that missing information the way it treats any incomplete task, kept the file open. It is still open. That is what you're feeling at 11 at night, not anxiety in the abstract, an open file. Now, here is where the mechanism gets darker. Social pain, the kind that comes from feeling misunderstood, dismissed, evaluated, or uncertain in a relationship, does not process the same way other pain does. Naomi Eisenberger, a social neuroscientist at UCLA, published a landmark study in Science in 2003 that scanned people's brains during social exclusion. What she found was that the same neural regions activated by physical pain, specifically the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula, lit up when people experienced rejection. Social pain and physical pain share a neural alarm system. They are not metaphorically similar. They are mechanistically linked. That finding alone reshaped how researchers think about social experiences. But a 2015 study published in PLOS One by Megan Meyer, Kipling Williams, and Eisenberger pushed it further. They had participants try to relive both physically painful experiences and socially painful ones. When people tried to relive physical pain, a broken bone, a bad injury, they could recall the fact of the pain. They could not re-experience it. The intensity was gone. But when people relived a socially painful event, a rejection, an embarrassing moment, a conversation that went wrong, the same brain regions that activated during the original event activated again at near original intensity. The brain was not accessing a memory. It was partially rerunning the event. This is why replaying a conversation can feel as bad as the original conversation. In the brain's affective pain system, it is partially the original conversation. You are not being dramatic. You are being accurate. The thing you are trying to stop feeling is not a thought. It is a reactivated neural pattern, and your conscious decision to stop thinking about it is competing against a biological process that does not take instructions from your prefrontal cortex at 11 at night. The open file creates the loop reactivates the original pain. The reactivated pain makes the file feel more urgent. The urgency keeps the file open. This is not weakness. This is a closed system doing exactly what it was designed to do. But the loop doesn't just run in isolation. It generates content. You know the part where you start constructing the version of the conversation where you said something different, better, more precise. The sentence that would have landed correctly made the other person understand you exactly, left no room for ambiguity. You run that version, then another version, then a version where you didn't say the specific thing that you're now certain you shouldn't have said. The brain is running an editing suite. It is producing revised drafts of a conversation that has already concluded, in pursuit of a take that would finally close the file. The research describes this as the brain attempting to close the gap between what happened and its internal standard. The gap exists because you hold a high standard for social legibility, for being understood clearly, for the interaction to land the way you intended. Researchers who study the link between perfectionism and rumination find that people with high internal standards for their own social performance are more likely to initiate the replay and less likely to exit it. The editing suite stays open longer, the drafts multiply, and none of them will close the file because the file was never about the sentence you chose. It was about the uncertainty of how you landed. Meanwhile, the other person moved on within minutes. This is not a cruel observation. It is a structural one. Their file closed because they received their own feedback. They said the thing, they experienced your response to it, and their brain marked the task complete. You are running an open loop on a conversation that, to the only other person involved, is resolved. You are replaying something that is, from the outside, already over. From the inside, it is happening right now. That gap between external closure and internal reactivation is the actual experience, not overthinking, asymmetric closure. And here is what that asymmetry does over time. Each time the loop runs and finds no resolution, the brain's threat detection system recategorizes the relationship. It asks, is this bond safe? Is this person reliable? Do I read correctly in this dynamic? The replay is not just about the conversation. It is a retroactive safety audit of the relationship. That audit produces anxiety not because there is a real threat, there usually isn't, but because the system running it was designed for environments where social exclusion had survival consequences. The brain cannot distinguish between a waiter whose bill is unpaid and a relationship that might not hold. It treats both as information that cannot yet be archived. Do this enough times, in enough relationships, across enough interactions, and a pattern forms that has nothing to do with any single conversation. You start to read ambiguous interactions as threatening by default. You start to assume that uncertainty means something negative. You start to prepare for the audit before the conversation is even over. Pre-editing what you say in real time, monitoring how it's landing, half present because part of you is already back in the editing suite. The replay doesn't just happen after the interaction, it starts to reshape the interaction itself. Susan Nolan Hoeksema, who formally defined rumination as a clinical construct at Yale, found that frequent ruminators carry twice the risk of developing depression compared to people who don't engage in this pattern. That isn't because rumination is a symptom. It's because running a loop that produces no resolution on repeat about social safety is one of the most efficient ways to train a brain into a state of chronic low-level threat. The open files accumulate, the audits never clear, the editing suite never closes. What started as a single conversation at 11 at night is, across years, a way of being in relationships. An orientation towards social uncertainty as something that must be resolved, monitored, preempted. A belief, installed so gradually you never chose it. That ambiguity is the same as danger. The word rumination comes from the Latin ruminare. It describes what cows do when they chew cud, the same material brought back up, processed again, yielding nothing new. The etymology was adopted deliberately, repetition without nutritional gain, the same moment, the same conversation, the same open file, chewed until it no longer resembles what it was, and still not resolved. You are not thinking too much. You are running a biological function on socially ambiguous material with no off switch that was designed for a threat environment that no longer exists. The system is not broken. The system is working. It is just working on material. It was never built to process. Modern relationships, digital ambiguity, text messages that say everything and nothing, and the particular silence of waiting for confirmation that someone somewhere understands you.